Hey y'all, it's Jasmine. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my flows are all about accessibility and meeting you where you are on the mat. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you so much. Today's practice will include variations of poses. Y'all don't know how many times I thought about that. So I would like to show you different modification for poses so you can include them in your practice, whether you're a beginner or if you have been practicing for a really long time. It's really good to have modifications that can support you in your practice. So if you have blocks, please feel free to grab them. We will use them during today's practice. And let's get started. So meet me down in a tabletop position here. So in our tabletop position, I just want to check in with alignment. Safety's always first, girls. So what we'll do is we'll check our alignment here in our tabletop position. So our hips over knees here, and then shoulders over wrist in your tabletop position. And now let's tap into some cat-cows. So dropping your belly and looking towards or up towards your eyebrows here in our cat-cow pose. And then round your spine, bringing your belly button to your spine or the action of it. For cat-cow here, and in our cat-cow, we want to be strong in our arms, so pushing away from the earth here in our poses and not having our arms kind of flare here or just kind of go off to the side. So tap into a couple of cat-cows on your own. And don't forget to breathe in these cat-cows here. So we're breathing in and out, connecting with our breath here in our cat-cow pose. And on your next inhale, return back to a neutral spine here in your cat-cow pose. And what we're going to do is we're just going to widen our knees just a little, taking your right hand and placing it towards the center of your mat and twisting open here to the left. Another option that you could do, again, placing your right hand in the center and then leading that lift with your elbow. So a couple of just different options for you and twisting as far as your body goes. Repeating on the opposite side, opening up to the right side of your body. And I'm just trying the different poses to see how it feels. Feel free to play. And return back to your tabletop position, neutral spine. Now what we're going to do next is hip circle. So imagine that you have a marker in your belly button and you're attempting to draw a circle. So taking your hips back to your right and then around here. So you're drawing those circles with your hips and they can be as big or as small as you like. I forgot to turn my watch off, y'all. I am not getting the credit for moving my body. All right, and we're going to pause here and then go in the opposite direction. And again, your hip circles could be as big or as small as you like. Returning to a neutral position here, we're going to actually set our intention today before we get moving in a child's pose. So bringing your knees wide apart, big toes touching, and then sitting your hips back. Feel free to grab a block if you like to rest your head on the block here. Arms could be what's comfortable for you. And we're breathing and setting an intention for today's practice. On your next breath, take your deepest inhale for today's practice so far. Filling up your belly and letting go through your mouth. One more time. Big inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Now, if you can meet me back in a tabletop position here. And I know that we've been in tabletop for a while, so I'm just going to sit up for a little bit and give my wrists a break here. So nice wrist circles going in my right and then left direction. So just kind of doing some hand work over here, girl. Now returning back to our tabletop and into our first downward dog of today. So we're pushing our hips back and up here in this downward dog. And feel free in your downward dog to find stillness, or you can move here by pedaling it out, by bringing one heel off the ground at the opposite time here. So whatever feels good for you in this position. Knees could be bent. And then you're pushing away from the earth here. I'm just going to find some stillness in my downward dog. With my chest pressing back towards my thighs here. Inhale, looking up. We're going to widen our stance and walk to the top of our mat here. In a forward fold position, feel free to grab your blocks if you like. Inhale, halfway lift here. Exhale, forward fold. Pressing into all four corners. We're going to rise here. Inhale, sweeping your arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, that was our warm up. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to, again, just start here at the top of our mat in Tadasana. But just to remind you, our blocks will go through providing you with modifications. So the first block, we're going to really be low to the ground. And then in our second block, you'll have the option to stay low to the ground, or you can tap into some of the different poses that I show you. So returning back to the top of your mat here. Feet are hip width apart, and you can have a nice bend in your knees here in Tadasana. Arms resting to the side. Inhale, sweep your hands up. Exhale, rain it down for forward fold. Again, you have the options to have your blocks here to bring the earth closer to you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stepping back to a downward dog. And we're going to bring our feet closer together here in the downward dog. And inhale, lifting or sweeping our right leg up. Exhale, bringing your feet in between your two hands here, and then placing your back knee down. And we're going into a low lunge. So feel free to rest your right hand on your right thigh and then bring it up here when you're more situated, or you can keep your hands here still placed on your right thigh. Another option for you is to actually have your block here and your left hand resting on your block and your right hand lifted. So a lot of different options for you, and you can find the one that's most comfortable for you. In our low lunge, hips are pressing forward here. And now what we're doing is we're going to take our back leg, our left leg here, and swing it around here. So it's pointing to the back of our mat into a modified warrior two here. And we're gazing at our middle finger here in this modified version of Warrior Two. Now turning your back leg to where is pointing to the back of your mat here, placing your left hand on the ground or a block, whatever feels comfortable for you, and then opening up to the right side of your body for an open twist. Placing your hands here on the ground and then returning to this tabletop position, we're going to do a supported chaturanga. So we're in a plank position here. We're going to bring our crown forward and then lower down slowly to our bellies. Placing your hands closer to your ribs, side of your ribs. Inhale, lifting your head for a baby cobra. Exhale, bring it down. Pushing back to your tabletop position and then pushing your hips back and up for downward dog. Now let's repeat that on the opposite side. Swinging your left leg up into your low lunge. Swinging your back leg to the front of your mat here for a modified Warrior Two. Cartwheel, and then turning your back leg, and then opening up to that left side of your body here for an open twist. Supported chaturanga. Bringing your crown forward, lowering down. Inhale, low cobra or high cobra. Exhale, lower down to your belly, pushing up to your tabletop position, and then back and hips up for downward dog. Inhale, looking up, widening your stance here, and then meet me into a wide leg forward fold or a more wider leg forward fold at the top of your mat. Knees bent. Inhale, halfway lift. Shoulders are moving away from your ears here. Exhale, forward fold. Pressing into all four corners. Hands to heart. All right, so that was our second. I'm just do that part over. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, that was block one. So block two, we're going to incorporate some different moves that's going to work out the same muscles. However, you're going to have the options of using the poses that we used in our block one or tapping into the new poses here. Either way, you have different options available for you, and then just test it out throughout the rest of the practice. So here, we are back at Tadasana at the top of our mat here. Knees can be generously bent with our hands resting next to our body. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, rain it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step back to downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your right leg up. Step into low or high lunge. So bringing your front leg forward here in this bit into our high lunge here. Open up to Warrior Two. And we will add in a move here. So we're actually going to turn our front leg to where it's straight towards the side of our mat here. And we're going to go into a wide forward fold. So again, your knees could be bent generously. You can use your blocks here. I'll show you a couple of different variations. So your hands could be on your hips in this wide-legged forward fold. Knees could be bent as you're bringing the top half of your body towards your mat. My knees are still bent here, and I'm going to place my hands here on the blocks. So here is a variation of the wide-legged forward fold. And this could be comfortable for you, or if you like, you can keep bringing your head towards the center of your mat here and begin, if it feels comfortable for you, to straighten out your legs. You can also, if it feels comfortable and in your practice, work towards your hands on the ground. And just like our warm-up, we're going to take our right hand, place it in the center, and then twist open to our left side of our bodies. So again, you also have the option of leading and opening with your elbow. So whatever feels comfortable for you. And repeat on the opposite side. And stopping where feels comfortable for you. Return back to center here and meet me in runner's lunge. And in your runner's lunge, feel free to have your back knee down or up. And we're going to open up to our right here for an open twist. Back knee could be lifted or on the ground. Plank position, supported or full, chaturanga. Low or high cobra, downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your left leg. Step into your lunge of choice. Warrior two. Wide-legged forward fold. So turning that leg to the front of your opposite mat. And now bending at your knees for a wide forward fold. Also could be working towards straight. Placing your right hand on the ground, twisting open to the front side of your mat. And breathing. Return to center and repeat on the opposite side. Returns to runner's lunge. Back knee can be lifted or on the ground. And then opening up to the left side of your body. Plank position, supported or full, chaturanga. Low or high cobra. Downward dog. And in your downward dog, we're going to lower our knees to the ground here. Opening up our knees, touching our big toes, and into a child's pose reflection. Inhale, pressing yourself up into a tabletop position and swinging your legs around to the right or left side. However, we're going to end up in a seated position with our legs out in front of us here. And I'm going to use my blocks. Feel free to grab yours or place them next to you here. And in this position, we're going to do a seated forward fold with our legs straight out in front of us. And I'm using the blocks to help the earth come closer to me here. So I'm just going to do a couple of shoulder rolls here. Placing my hands on my upper thighs here. And with each breath, I will begin to fold. So bringing my hands down my legs here, leading with my head, coming down to meet the second half of my body in this forward fold variation. Another option for you, if you do not want to use the blocks here, you can also take your peace fingers, wrapping them around your big toe, or grabbing the outer edge of your feet, if that is in your practice, and then lowering down. And then really just using any place between your upper thighs all the way down to your feet as another source of a just place where you can bring your body down into a forward fold position. Really, whatever works for you. And with each breath, see if you can melt in this position. Releasing yourself from the seated forward fold here. We're actually now going to prep for Shavasana. And so in Shavasana, you have the option to lay on your back or remain in a seated position, whatever feels comfortable for you to end your practice. So I'm going to lie in the more traditional Shavasana and let my body melt. And I'm actually going to return back to my intention from earlier in today's practice, where I said, and I told myself, have fun on the mat today. And sit with how I enjoyed moving my body today. Now, before I go quiet, settle into your breath and tap into sensations in your body. Is there anywhere that you're holding tension? Is there any place that you're just loosey-goosey? Take notice and keep breathing. If you have more time to sit in your Shavasana, I always encourage you to. However, if you're coming out with the rest of us, begin to return to your surroundings. This could be done by wiggling your fingers and toes. If your eyes have been closed, gently opening them. And return to your surroundings. Rolling over to the left or right side of your mat, whatever feels great. And I'm trying not to chuckle at myself when I said rolling over, probably watching too much Bluey with my daughter. Now pressing your hand that is on the earth up to help you lift up. Thank you so much for joining me in today's practice. I hope you can come to this practice and tap back into just a familiar place. This practice is meant for you to try out different poses and just really switch it up. So thank you so much. Until next time, bye.